This is my daughter's car. This is my daughter's car. It's a 2005 Chevy Cobalt. She says it needs brakes. She says when she comes to a stop, it does this thing and it's annoying. So she says, I need you to fix my brakes. And I said, hey, why miss an opportunity? Let's go through the braking system, and I'll put it on my YouTube channel is in the playlist of basic automotive stuff. So this isn't for mechanics because it's not a how-to. This is for people that drive cars, that stop in cars, and when they have problems doing those things, these are a couple of the reasons why those happen. So I happen to have a disassembled 1969, and even though this is from 1969, the system is basically the same. You push the pedal in. This is a brake booster. It basically multiplies or boosts the pressure that you push on the pedal, which sends it into here, which has the brake fluid in it. And then the fluid goes down the brake system to the back, and in this case, down these brake lines, just like on the other car, into the caliper. And this does the same thing. This thing, it's a lot bigger because this car weighed 4,200 pounds. Those brake pads that are in there compress the rotor, and that stops the car. So that's pretty much the same. So even though this is a Chevrolet Cobalt, brake pedal, just like on the 69, these ginormo wingy doors. And then under the hood, back there, that round thing, that's the brake booster, just like in the 69. And this plastic piece right here, that holds your brake fluid, just like on the 69, except that one was metal. And then from there, you see that the same thing. And then down to the brake lines on each wheel. So you can kind of see in cars that you can see through the wheels, the shiny round thing, and then the other thing that's in there, and that's the brake caliper. We'll pull that off and then I'll show you kind of what's going on here. So here's a tip. Don't use those thin wall sockets with the stupid lugs with an impact wrench, because they're going to break, and then you're going to want to cut it and then weld it and then grind it down and then fix it. But then the other side of this stupid thin wall socket breaks, so you got to drive in town an hour and then get another one. Holy moly. And now that it's an hour later, we'll go ahead and get these off. So with the wheel off, this is the same part that you saw through the wheel, the shiny part, the flat shiny, and then the caliper. This part is your rotor. When you take your car and they say your rotors need to be turned, you're like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. This is what they're talking about. Sometimes with excessive wear or just regular wear and tear on brakes, because basically you have brake pad against metal, which I'll show you those also in a second. But these can be warped to where this side is a little bit thinner than this side. So when you stop and your brake pads push together, it goes like that. So this piece right here will clamp these against the rotor while it's spinning. That's what stops your car. Usually what'll happen, these are still good, but what'll happen is this part will wear out. And when this part touches this part, that's when you get grindy. So when they say your brake pads are worn out, that's this, and your rotors, that's this. So these being the old ones, and these being the new ones, you can tell a difference that these still had a little bit of life left in them. And these probably could have been turned, but I already bought rotors and pads. So these will probably end up lasting the rest of the life of this car. And this being the new rotor. That's pretty right there. Look at that, that's pretty. So that's kind of an overview or an underview, I guess, of the braking system. If you have one of those problems, that's probably what it is. The rotor needs to be replaced, needs to be turned, or you need new brake pads. hopefully that gives you a little bit of an explanation on the braking system of a car. Like I said, it's not for mechanics, it's for people who drive cars that may not necessarily understand them. But that's also what we do at Auxilium Auto. We want to pay for those things on cars for people that depend on their vehicles to get around, especially in the South. Rural areas that aren't cities, we depend on them, and that stuff's expensive. That brake job would probably cost $300-ish. It's like a paycheck for some people. It's not cheap. So that's what we want to do. Any kind of like, subscription, share, hugs, donations, anything like that, that goes to pay for those expenses on people's cars. Not my daughter's car. That's what I pay for. I just use it to kind of give you an explanation of the things that we do at Auxilium Auto.